Well, we talked on Media Buzz, Mercedes, about this all-out attack by National Review against Donald Trump, calling him a charlatan, a huckster, somebody who is a threat to the conservative movement in America. And you had some strong views on that, and we'll get to that in a moment. David Caramonte writes in that the conservatives in the National Review are afraid they're going to lose their funding, so they go after Trump. These conservatives didn't seem to have a problem with Dole, Bush, H&W, McCain, Romney. They are a bunch of elite snobs who have lost their way for the sake of control of the conservative narrative.
Wow.
Elite
David,
snobs?
that's tough. Interestingly enough, National Review actually has been very critical of McCain and Romney and George W. Bush. So you have to also give them credit on that side as well. What they try to stand for is conservative principles. With that being said, their sort of moral crusade against Donald Trump and their ability to try to just build their case against him as not a conservative, really, I think, is really shameful to a certain degree.
Why shameful?
Because I think that they miss the point of what Donald Trump is standing for, which is for, what he's attracting is sort of the populist, the conservatives and the populist side, which don't necessarily match up with where many of these conservative thinkers are.
I'll concede your point that New York and Washington commentators and people who write for opinion magazines like National Review are maybe in a different zone than the talk radio folks, Laura Ingraham, Mark Levin, Rush Limbaugh, some of the more conservative websites like Breitbart. But, I mean, these are people, Rich Lowry and Jonah Goldberg and others whose names are well known through TV or through their writing, who are deeply committed conservatives. Now, you may not agree with their vision of conservatism. They believe in smaller government. They believe in a very muscular foreign policy. They don't think.
And so, how is that different from what Donald Trump is saying?
They don't think Donald Trump is one of them. They look at Donald Trump's evolution, and in the past he's held liberal positions. He doesn't talk that much about shrinking the size of government. He talks about protecting Medicare and Medicaid, and Medicare and Social Security, which conservatives think we have to rein in or they're going to bankrupt the country. My point is, why do we need to dismiss them as snobs?
I think that the key is that it's the conservative thinkers can make, from National Review, can make their point. With that being said, I think part of it is listening to what the American people, the GOP primary voters, are sending the message. And really, Trump is one of the candidates, and I'd say Ted Cruz is another one, where their messages are resonating with what would be the GOP conservative voters. I think probably Ted Cruz's message resonates more, but when you have these thinkers who are already endorsing candidates like Rubio, like Cruz, it does become a bit unfair when, they should have done, instead of against Trump, why not put, a cover for Cruz or for Rubio? So again, I think that it's this war they're taking on with Trump. I think if Trump becomes a nominee, I'm not sure how these conservative thinkers are going to be able to backtrack their statements, because what are we going to do? What's their option? Support Hillary Clinton? Is that really the option these conservative thinkers are going to go with?
That was the last question I was going to ask you, because this came up in 2012 when a lot of conservatives trashed Mitt Romney in the primaries, and then he won the nomination, and they certainly preferred him to Barack Obama, but they had already kind of gone after him. And I don't know, I think that I don't think you can walk it back when you mount this kind of coordinated assault that National Review has done with 22 conservative writers. Clearly they're so afraid that Trump's going to win this nomination that they're trying to do everything they can to stop it. I don't know where they're going to be if he's the nominee.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the tricky part for them. I think at the end it's going to, the grassroots will speak. They will decide who the nominee is. If it's the Trump message that resonates, the Cruz or the Rubio message that resonates, we'll see what happens. But I think they are putting themselves in a very tricky situation. Although, you know what? It is their opinion. They're entitled to say that they're against Donald Trump. But again, David is right. I think to a certain extent, where I think there is a disconnect between the conservative thinkers, some of them, and where the rest of the grassroots base is at right now.
It's a great debate, and it really is at the heart of this election.